So today we're going to be looking at these multi-step equations. Now, trying to relate these a lot to what we had in solving our multi-step. Well, these are inequalities. We were doing equations. So, we have to look at it. And, we might have to distribute, combine like terms. Um, we usually want our variables on the left, constants on the right. Let me move this down. And then we're going to multiply or divide. Okay, and that's so we get that coefficient of 1 and stuff. Now, whether if you haven't been with us or joining us, or you're just now joining us at home, yeah, this does go on the YouTube, so I have other people besides my students that watch this. I think it's funny. Again, you can't go straight from this problem to the answer. Okay, you do a step, you step back and look at it. Okay, that's probably why I'm not very good at building things. I don't do something and then step back and say, okay, what do I need to do next? No, I'm good at the demolition. Okay, all right. So we're going to distribute. We're going to multiply 4 times x and 4 times 3. Well, 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 3 is 12. All right. Now, I totally looked at 24 and wrote 12. That's awesome. I'm such a professional. All right. So we did distribute. Now, combine like terms. This is the same thing. We've done this before, and I saw a lot of it on your test. It helped y'all. If you keep, make your line, that's one side of the other for your, like our equal signs inequalities. All right. We don't have to combine like terms. Our variable's already on the left. We want this constant. We want this 12 over here. So we need to subtract. Because we like to do the opposite. Okay, that helps with this, being teenagers. We like to do the opposite of what we're told. Make sure you have your mask above your nose and face at all times. 90% of the time, I see people like this. Okay, especially if you're climbing up the stairs and you're acting like you're, climbing Everest, and so, which that's probably me some days too. All right, this ends up being negative 36. All right. Now we get that coefficient of 1. That's our multiplier divide step. All right. Yep. So we get x is greater than negative 9. All right. That is our actual solution. Okay. Now, yeah, I just used this. I had it before. I tried to make it on your handout have a lot of room to write. Notice some people are like, wow, was the problem so big? Because some of y'all write like really large. But, we've got negative 9 here. This is negative 8, and this is negative 10. And you only have to put 3 on a number line. You don't have to do that much. All right. Now, what type of circle are we going to have? Open or closed? Open. It's open because there's not a line underneath the alligator head. All right. What's being eaten? Is the number or the letter being eaten? Letters being eaten or the variable. Oh, somebody's using vocab terms. If it's being eaten, you can, now, a lot of people will do this. Some people will do the arrow like I do, up and over. Either one is fine. You don't have to do both. Okay? Now, these problems for our stuff today are strategically picked out. I needed just enough of what we were doing to not overwhelm people and also to really hammer down these basic or our foundational stuff. I don't want to say basic, our foundational steps here. All right. So, is everybody okay with number one? I know like half of y'all already did like the front side of the page and you're moving to the back because you're high speed like that. And some of y'all are just tolerating me because you're not actually awake right now. And I thank you for that. Okay. People at home, you didn't hear it, says you're welcome. All right. Number two. All right. If you ask yourself, WWJD, what would Jeffries do? That's me. I'm Jeffries. I know. Some people are like, wait a minute, that's not, I would actually do this right here because I know I'm probably going to mess up. Because what we are actually distributing is this person right here. Okay. So I'm trying to do that to not get confused. All right. So if I treat this as a -3, so I can say -3 times x, all right, and then -3 times 2, -6. All right. Now, this is one of those things that if you're not sure where to start or you're afraid that you're going to get kind of confused, please, especially during the test, the in-class test, please come up and ask. I want to make sure that y'all are on the right page, okay? I don't want somebody to miss stuff right off the bat. Of course, we did have a lot of that. A lot of people did the first step wrong, but then they did every step right on the test. So that's funny. All right, this is understood to be a 1, okay? 1 minus 3, if you're not good with your integers, use a calculator. All right. Yep. So we get -2x minus 6 greater than 4. All right. So we did distribute. We did combine like terms. We don't have any more variables on either side, so they're already on the left. We've got to get this 6 over here by doing the opposite by adding. All right. Now, if you were absent yesterday or mentally absent yesterday, this basically is this part right here is what you missed. Okay. So that's the good thing about people coming when they do. Sometimes it works out. We know we're going to divide. Okay. We know that we're going to get an X on this side. We're going to get a -5 on this side. All right. And I'm just writing it up here because I don't want to keep scrolling down. Okay. Now, what happens in inequalities when you multiply or divide by a negative? Yeah, it flips the sign. Okay. This is, I think I mentioned this yesterday in class. I didn't record it. That it's very similar to adding something you don't like to something you're about to eat. Okay. For some people, it's eggplant. Some people, it's mushrooms. Some people, if they're vegetarian, if they know that you do something with beef, they're like, okay, that kind of thing. It just depends on your diet. Yes.
Like over the summer, my uncles put peas and carrots in my couscous. I tried to refuse, but they wouldn't let me. They made me eat the peas and carrots.
They made you eat the peas and carrots in your couscous. They're so horrible.
I know.
All right. So that part right there, that's the big thing. That was actually all of yesterday's lesson in that step. Okay. Some people probably already know it. You're like, okay, not a big deal. All right. What type of circle are we going to have? Open. Okay. What's being eaten? The number's being eaten. So that means we're going to shade to the left. Okay. So you could do it this way or you could do the scribbles. If you do the scribbles, please make sure that you scribble big enough so I don't have to get a magnifying glass to see it. Okay. I had some students so like, and they're like, can't you see that? I'm like, no. I'm old. Okay. Which is odd. Sometimes I can't see something up close, but I can see a deer moving 350 yards away from me. It's all about priorities. All right. So, granted, we might have done this one faster than some people, but trying to do it, making sure we get those foundational steps. Okay. Oh, this got ugly quick, didn't it? All right. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to put this 7x right here, and I'm going to put this over here. All right. Now, that's where I've got to do my distribution. That's hard to say sometimes. All right. So I'm going to have negative 2 times x, okay, and negative times negative 4, positive 4, okay. Now, the reason I do this, that kind of blocking off thing with the distribution, I got it. Some people would do this, and they forget that it will actually change those signs, okay. So I know math is weird. That's why I teach it, because I'm weird. All right. So we distributed. Now we have to combine like terms. So this negative 2 is chilling all over here by its lonesome, so we don't have to worry about this. This is what we have to do. So if I have 7 fingers and I cut 2 of them off, how many fingers do I have? 5. Awesome.
How did you end up with 7 fingers in the first place?
How did I end up with 7 fingers in the first place? That's the question. That's funny. I like that. All right. I've actually made a mistake. Who saw what I made, where I made a mistake? This should be a what? 8. That should have been an 8. Well, yeah. Well, I think it's funny because I've actually seen that so many times on students' papers. They'll multiply the first one and just carry the second one down. They'll forget to distribute to the second one. That apparently I've picked up a bad habit just by association. All right. I'm going to subtract 8.
So you did usually try to trick us.
No, I didn't. I didn't try to trick you. I'm just glad I actually caught myself this time. Remember, I don't know if I'm doing it on purpose or not anymore. All right. Now, I divided by 5. My answer is a negative 2. Do I still change my alligator head?
No.
No, because I did not divide by a negative. Okay. All right. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 3. All right. What type of circle? Closed. Because remember, line underneath it, you're in a relationship. No line underneath it, you're a friend zone. We acknowledge it, but we don't include it. Okay. Some people are like, that makes so much sense. All right. And then up and over, this goes to the left because the number's being eaten, not the variable. All right. So hopefully, as we're going through this, some people are actually grasping stuff that they may have missed or may not have been 100% sure of on the last test last week. I think we actually have more people on board now than we've had in the past. So that's a good thing. Okay, small victories. All right. Okay, with number 3. Silence is deafening. I got one person shaking their head. Okay. Woo! Man, this is a catfish date if I've ever seen one. All right. This time our distribution is up front, okay? But notice we're only going to distribute to what's inside the parentheses. This minus x is just tagged along here. All right. So negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times negative 1 is a positive 8. And that is not written very well. I was not happy with that. That's not much better, but it's better than what it was. All right. So we distributed. All right. Need to look at it. Negative 18 is chilling all over there by itself. But I've got these two x's that need to combine because they're like terms. They're on the same team. All right. This is understood to be a 1. So negative 8 minus 1 would be negative 9x plus 8 less than or equal to negative 28. Okay. Now I'm going to subtract 8 to get my constants together. That's gross looking. All right. So when we get to this step, what do we know is about to happen? Yeah, we're going to, because we're actually going to have to flip this alligator head. We're going to flip this sign because we know we're about to divide by a negative. Okay. And the more you do these and you kind of pause after each little step, the better you'll feel about it. Okay. Some people are like, I don't like feeling good about math at all. And I totally understand that. All right. Now, we have this, we have 4, so it's 3, 4, 5. What type of circle?
Close.
Closed, dating included. And which way? To the right, because the X is being eaten. Okay. So it's basically what we were doing in the last unit or whatever with just this. We got a little graph and we got an alligator that's picky with what it eats. Okay, that's it. All right. So I can imagine now somebody's going to say, so what did you learn in math today? Well, alligators are picky and they don't like eggplants and mushrooms. I don't know. All right. Not so bad, right? It could always be worse, but not so bad. Hopefully we got more people understanding, even if you're not awake. All right. So, all right. On the back of your handout, I'm going to show you something. So I think y'all have room at the top of your page. If you don't, I'm sorry. So when it's infinitely many solutions, you'll get something like this, like 5 is less than 7, or like 2 is greater than or equal to 2, because that the trick thing is that equal to. Okay, that little line actually means something. Okay, where we get this are no solution is when we get a false statement like 3 is greater than 8. And this was the one that usually throws me off more than anything. 6 is less than 6. Just because it did not have that line up underneath it, that makes it a false statement. That is one of those little tricky type things that somebody had to come up with so they could torture teenagers hundreds of years later. Okay, I'm under the firm belief of that too. All right. Now, like most of my definitions, this does not make sense until you see it. Okay, I like what's called working definitions. Now, we're going to do this the same way we have been doing stuff. So we look at our problem. What do we know is about to happen on the right-hand side? We're going to distribute, okay? So I got out of doing my highlighter a while ago, so I'm going to get my highlighter in, all right? So this stays the same. So does this. All right, 2 times 3 is 6. And then 2 times 3 again is 6. Okay. Ta-da! So we distributed. Okay. We distributed. We're looking at it. Okay. We're, sneaking up on it like a ninja. All right. I have unlike terms on both sides because we can't combine these people because they're different teams. Okay. I've got to move this 6W over here with this 6W. So I subtract. All right. That's a poorly written 5. But we get a statement that says 5 is greater than 6. Now, hopefully, if you know that you have this many fingers and this many fingers, one of them is bigger than the other ones. Okay? If you have 5 Reese cups, is that more than having 6 Reese cups? And for anybody that's allergic to peanut butter, I'm sorry. Okay? No, this is a false statement. Okay? This would be, you could do this or no solution. Now, I thought, no momento. What I thought was funny on the test, I knew it would happen. People would solve this, and then they would write IMS or no solution on the answer blank. And that's just one of those unsure type things. Yes?
I solved it a different way, but that's the same.
Yeah. If you got rid of the constants first, didn't you? Yeah. Here's what's crazy about these things. There's actually 4 different ways to start solving this. Yeah. So if you can imagine being a teacher, if there's 21 of y'all. If out of 21 of y'all, and there's 4 different ways, I'm going to lose people. Okay? I don't like losing people. If we give some people some structure, some steps to follow, that actually gets more people right there. Now, I know that you do it. I know Hide does it. He does stuff different, and we get the same answer, and we're cool like that. Okay? Of course, I don't know. Hide might not think I'm very cool, which is okay. All right. So, why don't we have to graph this? Yeah, how do you graph that it's no solution? You can't. It's like there's nothing. Okay? It's crazy. All right. So, let's look at number 6. All right. So, on the left-hand side, we just kind of leave it alone. We're not ready to deal with you yet. Please wait your turn. Okay? All right. Over here, we have to distribute. So we have a negative 5 times r, we get a negative 5r. A negative times a negative, we get a plus 10. All right? So, we've done that. We're looking at it. We see that we have different teams on both sides of the highlighted part or the inequality. I need to move my variables to the left-hand side, and I'm going to do that by adding 5r. And then I get this crazy thing right here. Okay. Now, is 15 greater than or equal to 10? It's greater than. Yeah. It is greater than. It's not equal to. See, that word or is kind of annoying sometimes. Okay? It's kind of like maybe for me. Okay, maybe I'm just jilted from back in the elementary school. I'd pass somebody a note, will you like to be my girlfriend? Check yes or no. And then they'd send back the paper and it's got a maybe on there. It's like I got friend zoned in the third grade. I mean, that kind of stays with you. So, all right. So this is a true statement because 15 is bigger than 10. So this would be IMS, or infinitely many solutions. Now, if you want to graph that, you would actually take a number line and shade it all the way in. So that doesn't make sense for that. Okay? That's why we're not graphing these. All right. A little bit better. Yes, no. Does the definitions make a little bit more sense now? Yes, I got a thumbs up from somebody. That if I get a thumbs up from you, I know I'm doing something right. Okay. I hate that. I'm not trying to call you out like that, but you told me how much you don't like math, but I get a thumbs up and I'm like, yes. Going to school to be a teacher wasn't a bad idea. Ha 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 ha. You know, there's people that do stuff that probably get paid a lot more than me. I don't think they have as much fun as I do. Okay. All right. Number 7. A lot going on. Okay. There's a lot. Is this on y'all's paper? Did I grab the right? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I got some weird looks like that. All right. So, and I think the highlighter is helping some students that may not have grasped some of these concepts last time. So I'm sticking to it. All right. We have to distribute. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Whoa, there's not an S with that. Just negative 12. It's on the next one. Minus 2S. And then we have, this is just left alone. All right. So something doesn't smell right about this. Okay. If you look at it, you're like, you kind of want me to think that something's going to go away here in a second. But it's where we got to tiptoe into it. So let's step kind of lightly. All right. Unlike teams on both sides, I'm good. I want to move my 2S to the left. So I subtract. Now again, like I said, there's 4 ways to start this, so just kind of follow along. All right, and then we get negative 16. Okay. Still seems a little weird, right? Does it seem like it fits in with the last 2, does it? This actually looks like kind of the problems that we had on the front of the page, where we actually could solve and graph. Did I do something wrong?
Okay, so let's take away 2A. You put negative 2A. Don't maybe take away that 2.
All right, so I'm trying to get this one over here. So I did the opposite of subtract. Yeah, it's okay. It's early. Okay, it's not even 9 o'clock. Now, all right, now I got to get my constants over here. So I got to do the opposite of minus 12 by adding. See, this is why I said something doesn't smell right about this problem. Okay, this is not looking like what we had earlier at all. Because we're about to divide by a negative 4. That's going to flip my alligator head or my inequality sign. I actually get a solution. Okay. This is one of those things that, you get in a mindset of when you see the directions, you think all of them have to be no solution or IMS. Okay. But remember, if you kind of tiptoeing, I was like, something didn't feel right. And they're like, well, you've probably done this problem 100 times. I probably have, but I forget. Okay, I'm just like y'all. When I leave that door, I do delete, and I probably delete a lot of stuff I do. Some of y'all are like, yep, that's true. All right, so I'm working these out the same as y'all. So if I'm approaching this cautiously, okay, I want y'all to also. All right. The only thing I can compare this to, like doing some of these problems, is like when I'm walking around in the woods right now, I have to be very careful where I step because there's these danger noodles everywhere out there that can kill me. Okay, we have tons of copperheads and cottonmouths and rattlesnakes. All right, not a fan of any of those. Not a fan of danger noodles. So I have to be careful where I step. So I have to ease myself around. Okay. All right. Weird because it didn't go in the right spot. It didn't. It actually had a solution. That's when people are like, "That doesn't make sense." It doesn't. But you just have to be prepared. All right. Number 8. Number 8 looks really busy. Okay. So I did my highlighter. This actually helps me visually. On the left-hand side, I've got that. Now, the 7 has nothing to do with what's happening over here. Nothing at all. Okay. So I'm going to just bring it down. I have to distribute. So I have 2x minus 6. Okay. And I'm thinking, I'm like, did I copy this down right? Something, because the directions say that it could have no solution. Well, let's tiptoe into it. Got to watch out for those danger noodles. I'm going to combine these things. If I have 7 Reese's cups and I eat 6 of them, I have 1 Reese cup and probably diabetes. Okay. FYI, I cannot wait for the Reese cup pumpkins to come out. I love Reese's cups. If they ever said I was allergic to peanut butter, I would just eat a Reese's cup and just stab myself with the EpiPen because I'm going to live my life. Okay. All right. So we've combined like terms. I want to get now this is where, there's 4 ways to start. This is why I like to have my variables on the left. This is why we did this in the last unit, is it actually helps for the inequalities. If I was doing this on my own, I would get kind of worried because I'm like, I'm actually going to get a number for this. I'm going to get an actual answer. Say again? Yeah. And so I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. I'm like, it's in here with these IMSs and no solutions. What is this doing in here? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Good deal. Now, I did divide by negative, so I added something that the alligator doesn't like. It changed its head. Yeah. So it's these 4 problems are very similar to what you had on those 4 problems on the last unit test, and it's one of those things you're like, does that really belong? And believe it or not, it does, but it kind of throws you off a little bit. Okay, makes you kind of. It's like when I see people running down the hall, and my favorite thing to do is to point at the ground and say, "Don't step in that." It's my favorite thing to do. Okay, and you see people go, kind of stops them. Okay, this would be the same thing of that. I'm like running down. I'm like, okay, I got no solution on the first one. I got IMS on the second one. I'm getting numbers. I would start doubting myself right here. I would go back and double and triple check myself. Okay, but you have to remember in the directions, solve the inequality if possible. These last two were possible. Okay. We have two more. All right. I'm actually going to stop the recording here because I want my students in class to go ahead and do the next two on their own, and then we're going to go back and check. All right. Good stuff. Good things. Roll Tide.